Hi there, I'm David Hunt, owner of GameMasters Guild, and today I'm going to talk to you about your playmat. Now, when you have one of these vinyl playmats, you only want to use wet erase markers on them. And when you draw on them, the wet erase dries quick enough, and when you're done, just take a water bottle or a wet cloth, spray it, wipe it off, and you're good. And then roll it up and store it later for next time. Preferably, you don't want to use a rubber band. When you roll it up, you don't want to use a rubber band because it could crease it. You either want to put it back in its original wrapper or buy a case for it, or just keep it rolled gently in a corner somewhere. And they usually stay rolled up pretty good. You could like lean it up in the corner of your room and it'd be just fine. Now, you could use, which I do not recommend, and that's dry erase. If you put dry erase on here, it's harder to get off. It doesn't just spray and wipe off. Sometimes you might get away with it, but generally you won't. And then what you need is you need to use like a mild detergent like soap and water, or we have found that if you go back over the dry erase with a wet erase marker, then it comes right up no problem, and you can just take it off just like you could normal wet erase. Now, if you leave it on, let's say overnight, that may not work, or if you leave it there for a few days, it may not work. So what you can also do is use hand sanitizer. And you get some hand sanitizer, put it on there, or any kind of like alcohol. I just like to use the hand sanitizer because it's not as fluid and doesn't just go everywhere. So I put the hand sanitizer on where I need, I kind of rub it a little bit, comes up, and then I wipe it off, and then I go back and I spray it with water and I clean it up again. Now, if you leave wet erase and I've left wet erase on my vinyl mats for quite some time, like a week or longer in some cases. And what I do is, even though it will stain, especially reds, anything that's closer to red, like red, purple, stuff like that, it will definitely stain your mat and you'll see it. But every session, just try to clean off your mat. And the more times you clean your mat, the more that's going to come up. And a lot of times what I'll do is, if I have a little bit of extra time, I'm not doing anything, and let's say I've stained my mat and I wiped it up best I could, but I still got residual stains on it, what I'll do is I'll unroll it, I'll spray some water on there, and just let it sit. It's not going to hurt nothing. Just let it sit, and then come back in a little bit and just kind of wipe it off. You know, I don't know, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, you know, whatever. Just kind of help it get in there on that stain. And just every now and then, hit it again with some water, like every couple days, just whenever you're thinking about it, oh, that stain, yeah. Or maybe right before your game, unroll it, you see it, spray it down with water, let it sit for like 5 minutes. I mean, you're getting snacks, everybody's getting settled, then wipe it off again. And every time you hit it, the stain gets less and less and less. Now, I had a funny incident happen where a friend of mine called me right before a game, and they were in the middle of a game. And he said, "Hey Dave, I just used permanent marker on my vinyl battle mat. What do I do?" You could hear everybody in the background laughing, and of course I had to laugh too. And I told him, you know, well, you can probably use some rubbing alcohol or some hand sanitizer to get it off. You know, first try the marker thing, go over it with wet erase, and then use some hand sanitizer, and you should be fine. And you can get permanent marker off there, but you really got to catch it early, and you really got to get it. You got to work on it. And so he said, okay, hey, thanks. You know, we hung up the phone. And then I am 10 minutes into my game, and I don't know how I did it. I grab a permanent marker, and I draw like a 12 inches. And I'm like, how is that possible? Why did I just do that? So then I had to clean up my mat because of that. Okay, now this mat, this vinyl mat that I have in my hand, one of my regulars let me borrow to see if I could try to clean it up. I'm still having trouble with it because this vinyl battle mat, they used wet erase on it, and they let it sit a long time. I mean, like months. And even with hand sanitizer and rubbing on it real hard, you can see how strong these lines are in color. And you can see here, it took a lot of work just to get that little bit off. I'm optimistic that we can eventually get all of this off. I might just let it soak and see what happens. But you could definitely have problems getting wet erase off if you leave it too long. And this doesn't have any red in it, it's just green, and it's stained pretty good. But I'm definitely making some headway. I just don't want to I'm worried I'm going to rub off the grid lines, but I don't think I can damage it enough to make it unplayable. And that's another thing. If you rub off some grid lines, don't worry, man. It's not unplayable. It's only unplayable if there is no grid at all, and even then you can work around that. But anyways, I just want to show you real quick this vinyl playmat, and also share with you some things you should and should not do with your vinyl playmat. Well, I'm Dave Hunt, owner of GameMasters Guild, telling you to stay safe, play great games, and I'll see you real soon.